First story, my creepy neighbor started watching me, left a dead fish in my mailbox, and shot at my house. Then I had to shoot him to survive. A few weeks ago, a new neighbor moved in across the street. To my knowledge, it's one guy who is about 40 to 50 years old. For the past few weeks since he moved in, he has been taking walks around the neighborhood, and every once in a while, when he passes my house, my living room has a window that can see into the front yard. He stands and watches me. When I go outside to investigate, he just says something to the tune of admiring my shingle work or stargazing. He has used these excuses before. He never comes directly onto my property when he does this. A few days ago, I came home, and when I went to pull the trash cans back from the street, my neighbor is sitting on his front porch with a rifle in his lap in plain view. I ask him if there is anything wrong, and he just nods at me. I went back into my house and called the police. Now, the spot I called the police from was in my kitchen. The only way to look into my kitchen from a window is if you walked up to my living room window and peered to the left. After hanging up the phone, I turned towards the living room and saw my neighbor about 2 feet away from my window, peering in with the rifle. I run into my room and lock the door. After the police arrive, I tell them what happened, and they told me that since he wasn't pointing a gun at me, that it wasn't a threat. The most they can do is trespass him, but by the time they arrived, he left his house. Yesterday, I came home at around 10 p.m. and found a dead fish in my mailbox. Without any evidence, how can I stop my neighbor from harassing me? Can I get a restraining order against him? Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Make a police report about the dead fish. Make the police take the report. Even if you don't actually know for sure who put it there, you have your suspicions. Tell them. If they refuse to take a report, calmly escalate the matter to an officer with a higher standing and don't leave until a report is taken. Keep all of the police reports you make. And as everyone else has suggested, definitely get a good home security system, preferably with several cameras. Commenter 2. I don't know shit about the law, but I'd say you should get a camera installed and probably keen any evidence of things put through your door. Then speak to police lawyer to see what your options are. OOP. I'm fully prepared for any future aggression, but I am looking for a non-violent route first. I don't think I had cause in any of my previous encounters to use force. Update. Since then, I got cameras with night vision, motion detection alerts, window tint for the my living room, and big thick curtains. I also got a few of those stickers for the area of my house that says insured by Glock to deter any intruders. Now, the first night I got my cameras, I checked them the morning after to see how they worked. I made sure that there are no blind spots and all of them are fixed with no movement at all. When I checked the cameras the morning before, someone walked up to them wearing all black, including a mask, and pointed them down. When I left for work that morning, someone spray painted a knife on my mailbox. I filed a report with the postal inspector and called the police. The police said without any video evidence, there wasn't much I could do. That night, I woke up to a loud noise hitting my house every so often. I checked the cameras and couldn't see anything, so I went out and investigated and noticed small holes on my house. Looking around the ground, I see discharged rounds. I call the police again and confirm that it was .22 shots shot from far away. I have a concrete home, so that would explain the lack of penetration. The police offer to have a car patrol the neighborhood and sit outside for 3 days, and nothing happens. I asked them if I could get a protective order from my neighbor who has a history of being hostile, and they said since I had no direct evidence implicating him, that I can't file it out of nowhere despite previous confrontations. I filed another report with a different officer and got the same spiel. I asked for them to take fingerprints of the bullets then, and they chuckled and put the bullets in a bag and left. 3 days ago, I heard shots again and checked the cameras and noticed they were facing my neighbor's house just where I put them, and I see a silhouette shooting from the middle of my street before stopping and running to the back of my neighbor's house. After that, I call the police in my room while watching the cameras. The police come and do walk me through the same BS as last time, even after I showed them the cameras. They knocked on my neighbor's door and he claimed he heard and saw nothing. After they left, I asked him if he was telling the truth, and he looked at and smiled. It was very unnerving. I don't know what to do at this point. Top comment. OP. A suggestion for you might be to purchase a trail camera, essentially an outdoor camera that runs on batteries and records to a memory card, and try to place it somewhere non-obvious on the outskirts edge of your property. A few other thoughts. Go to your local county courthouse and actually inquire there to what the requirements are for a restraining and/or no contact order. The police may not be the best persons to ask about if your neighbor qualifies for one. Contact your local chief of police and let them know your property has been vandalized and shot at. Ask if there's anything else that can be done. Final update, 3 months later. This similar behavior is something I suffered over the course of 1 to 2 months in Florida. I made posts in LA asking for help and got reasonably good answers. Unfortunately, my neighbor pushed it too far and tried to break in my house in the middle of the night after a series of weird escalating behavior. As a result, I shot him multiple times. I was questioned and interviewed over 7 hours and then released due to Florida's stand your ground laws. Turned out neighbor was mentally ill and the family is currently trying to sue me for wrongful wrongful death. Hope this goes better for LAOP than me. I should have just moved. Second story. My friends excluded my family from our annual trip because my son has autism. Now I'm questioning everything about our friendship. 5 years ago, my childhood best friend, 44/male, invited me, my wife, 41/female, and our son on a week-long trip to California with his family and 3 of his college work friends, 42 to 45/male, and their families. I'd met them before, and we all got on well enough, so I agreed to it. They knew that my son was autistic before they invited us, and were fine with it apparently. The first year we went, my son had a really hard time adjusting, but got better as time went on, although he did have a few meltdowns, but everyone acted like it was fine and that they understood and continued to invite us on the trip, and things usually went like that. Earlier this week, my friends said that they wanted to discuss the trip, and I too wanted to discuss the trip because of some concerns I had, mainly one of my friend's teenage daughter who was extremely rude to my son. So I agreed, and when I got there, things were really awkward. No one really said anything, and finally one of the guys just said that they and their families had decided that it would probably be best if we, my family, didn't go on the trip this year. I was completely blindsided and of course asked why, and none of them would come right out and say it directly, but they slyly said it was because of my son. They said that this year, since it was vacation, they wanted to be able to truly relax, and for the past few years, they haven't been able to. They also said that this year they really wanted some adult time, since they haven't had any the last few years. Whenever my wife and I went out, our son would have to come too because no one would stay with him, and quite frankly, I didn't trust any of the other kids to stay with him, and he had a meltdown once at a restaurant. Their final reason was that some of their kids were uncomfortable. We rent a big house out there and felt unsafe staying in the house because of one instance where my son did get a little out of hand one time out of the 4 years. So I did understand that part a bit. Like I said, they never came right out and said it was because of my son, but I knew, and it really hurt. This trip is the only time my wife and I ever get away, and they knew that. I think it's pretty sad that a group of adults can't see past a few inconveniences and annoyances from a child who can't help it for a few days. But I know it's a little different to me because I deal with it all of the time. Overall, I'm just angry, hurt, and confused, as is my wife, by all of this, because they are supposed to be my friends, and I thought they understood everything. I feel like I'm ready to cut ties with all of them and not look back, but my wife thinks that I should tell them all how I truly felt about the situation so that they won't just think it's okay to do that to anyone. I don't really know what I'm asking, whether I'm overreacting, I truly don't think I am, or whether I should just end the friendship now or talk to them first. TLDR, friends excluded me and my family from annual trip because my son has autism. I just want to cut them off and be done with it, but my wife thinks I should talk to them and tell them just how unacceptable that is. Top comment. You have every right to feel hurt because we can't control the hands we're dealt. However, I'm inclined to say that your friends do have a valid point. An autistic child is a lot to deal with, and not everyone is able to do it. Your point of view is people should accept him because he can't help it, because he's your child and you're used to it. Imagine it from the other point of view. They see it as a child who can randomly go off at any moment, whether he can help it or not. It doesn't matter if it's caused by a disease or just a hyperactive child. They see the potential meltdowns as uncomfortable and awkward. Pretend it wasn't your child. Pretend one of your friend's children has ADHD. His family wants to go on vacation because they're used to it and have learned to tune down his yelling. Would you want to go out with him constantly yelling and making people uncomfortable? Could your friends have been more straightforward in their approach? Yes. At the end of the day, they did a cost-benefit analysis and figured it was better to have peace of mind for their kids and them, and decided to cut you. I recommend planning a vacation with your son. There's no reason why y'all can't have a great time as a family somewhere. Update. After thinking hard about it, I decided that I would talk to my friends about everything that happened. We decided to meet again and talk it out. They said that they understood why I was hurt, but weren't even planning on budging in anyway. There was no hesitation this time, and one of them, the one with the rude daughter, told me straight out that being around my son was way too stressful and risky, and that this year they refused to constantly walk on eggshells and put their kids at risk for my family's sake. We were never the closest, but I still thought we were friendly enough acquaintances to be respectful to one another, but I guess not, and in the moment we did get into a bit of heated argument and basically nothing got resolved, but my childhood friend did tell me that he doesn't want this to end our friendship and that maybe next year we could all work something out. But quite frankly, I don't really want to go on a trip with any of them, and I left. My wife, when I got home, was happy that I talked to them, but upset that I even considered trying to come up with a solution to go on trip where we would not even be wanted, which I understand. As far as my friendship with those guys, I'm not sure where it stands, and if we don't talk in the future, it won't bother me too bad since they feel the way they do. I know that a lot of people disagree with me, but if you can't accept my child, then you can't accept me, especially when he's so dependent on me. I am a little disappointed because I thought we were all friends, but maybe it's for the best. TLDR, I talked to my friends and things did not go well, but that may be for the best. Top comments. Commenter 1. Everyone in your last post said this is how they probably felt and have a right to feel. Almost to the letter. They feel like they have to walk on eggshells. Do you think they should be made to feel like that on their vacation? You feel like they're rejecting your family and you have a right to feel that way, but it seems like you still haven't looked at the other side of the coin. Commenter 2. Your friends don't owe you a vacation. You're demonizing them as if they don't like you or your kid, and you feel that they should accept your son without reservations because his misbehavior is part of his disability. Vacations are not supposed to be stressful, and your son adds stress to their vacation. They are in no way obligated to deal with that. You are because he is your kid. And guess what? They tried for 4 years to accept the situation and see it from your end. What have you tried?